It's Greg Adanian back with another episode of Sets and Reps, the podcast. This show is about different individuals from different walks of life that have each perfected their own unique approach to wellness and self-growth. Coming up next, we have Sue Ellen, Hampshire Hills Group Fitness Coordinator. She's got 9 certifications with Les Mills, and she talks to us about how to coach to a room full of people and how to maintain a deeper connection on an individual level. She talks about what it takes to maintain and receive a group exercise certification, as well as do's and don'ts when it comes to teaching a class. Before we get into it, we're going to do this week's circuit training, the 22 Reset Challenge. Let's go. For the 22 Reset Challenge, you're going to need yourself. You're going to need a relaxing bit of floor space to do it in. And you're going to need a timer, something on your phone, like a stopwatch. You're going to set your timer for 22 minutes. You're going to start by performing a breathing exercise for 10 minutes. This can be any breathing exercise of your choice. There's a plethora of them online. It can be as simple as breathing in through your nose for 4 seconds, holding that inhale for 7 seconds, and then exhaling for 8 seconds. Or you can try the breathing exercise that I currently am performing. It involves 30 rounds of breaths, 1 full inhale, and then an exhale part of the way. This is very different from exhaling all the way out. You are simply just letting go of the breath. And you can think of this exercise as stockpiling oxygen, because after you take those 30 rounds of breaths, you're just going to lay there and see how long you can relax your body before you take in another inhale. Before you try this exercise, it's important that you go to wimhof.com/breathing exercises to get the full instructions. So after you perform your breathing exercise, whichever you pick, for 10 minutes, for the rest of the time until your timer runs out, you're just going to lay there and you're going to meditate. You're going to close your eyes. You can do this laying down, as I mentioned, or you can sit up, legs crossed. And I just want you to get in tune with your senses. Think about what you're hearing. Think about what you're smelling. Think about the environment around you. And you can measure your day by choosing 3 tasks that you have to get done before the day is over, and 3 tasks that you would like to complete the following day. I want you to do the 22 Reset Challenge. Tag at Sets and Reps Pod on Instagram with the hashtag 22Reset. So I can repost it and take a look. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Circuit Training. Now let's get into the episode. It's a special episode because I'm matching with my background for the first time.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
And I haven't in previous episodes. I pretty much just go with a black polo and wear whatever I want underneath because people aren't looking at my pants. It's kind of like any other Zoom meeting. But
Yep.
We got Sue Ellen, the group exercise coordinator at Hampshire Hills Athletic Club. How are you doing tonight, Sue?
I am well. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing pretty well myself.
Good.
I worked a nice long shift this morning training clients, and the nice thing about how I met you is I believe it was on one of the opening shifts on Saturday. We have little mental health check-in talks from time to time.
Very important.
It's really important, especially if you want to continue to thrive and continue to move forward and press on in this time period. But it's good. It's important to have. So that's kind of how I met you. And I knew that group exercise was a thing. Being a personal trainer myself, I'm used to the one-on-one environment and never really dabbled too much into group exercise. I actually took a group exercise class as a part of my exercise science degree, which pretty much we actually learned a little bit about Les Mills in that, but we also learned about some of the different dynamics. And unfortunately it was like more of an introductory class, but it's cool that I have you on the podcast today because I can kind of ask you some specifics. And we've been working pretty much in tandem recently because I myself am about to get my certification to teach body pump, which is a really cool tool to have in my toolbox.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are the different classes you teach right now? I know you teach body pump, and I know you teach
Yes.
body step.
Yes. So at the moment, I'm teaching body step, body pump, body flow, and RPM. Those are the regular programs that I teach on a weekly basis. However, I am certified in body attack, body flow, body pump, body step, RPM. Oh, geez, there's so many.
So you don't teach all of the things that you're certified for, because
I
that would be a
don't.
lot.
I'm certified in 9 Les Mills programs, but I don't teach them all at one time.
9? Do they know
Yes.
do they know your name? Like the Les Mills community? Like
They do. I'm Susu for Nunu.
Susu for Nunu. Okay.
Susu for Nunu. Yes. So Mark New is the program director for Body Step, and he and I are best buds, as you've read in my profile.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
hear that. And in your phone, in my phone, you're Sununu, Ellen, as in Chris
Awesome.
Sununu. A joke is never funny if you have to explain it. Anyway, so how did you get into teaching all of those things? What did you start with getting certified in, and what led you to Les Mills in particular?
So when I first became a member at Hampshire Hills back in 2006, as life happens, life can be stressful at times, and Hampshire Hills and their group fitness exercise classes were monumental for me. They were my hour of escape. My husband knew every Saturday, 9 a.m., I'm at Body Step. I don't care what you have going on. I am there. Like nothing is going to distract me from taking that class. It was my favorite class. And as time went on, the instructor that was teaching that class had mentioned, your form is really good. You seem to enjoy this class very much. Why don't you go and take the initial training? And back then, the initial training was very different, structured differently than it is now. You showed up to the training on Saturday morning. They handed you a DVD and the choreography notes, and they assigned you a track. And then you would go through the entire training for the entire day. It was from 8 until 6. And then you would go home and you would have to learn that one track overnight and come back the next day ready to present that one track. So I went to Body Step training back in 2008. It was release number 72. And I had track 3, which was the step orientation track. And it was a eye-opening experience of how things were on the opposite side. That environment, that it was structured towards dancers and performers, which I was not. I never went to dance school. I was not a dancer. I didn't know how to learn choreography. So needless to say, I went through the training and I received a pass withheld, which meant that I needed to go back to the gym that was sponsoring me and train for another 30 days. And then the group fitness manager could sign off on me saying, okay, she's okay. And then I could continue with the certification process. So it was very different than it is now. So I went back to the gym, and the group fitness manager at the time did sign off for me after the 30 days, but life was different at that point in my life, and I chose not to continue to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just continued to be a member for many, many years. And I worked for the local electric company at the time, was Public Service of New Hampshire. And they were starting to get to the point where I was in the meter department, where they were going to become automated. And I thought that I was in fear of losing my job. And I knew that the first thing with my husband is if I lost my job, the first thing to go was the gym membership. Yeah, that can't happen. That could not happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
I cannot miss my Saturday step class. So that's when I went to train for RPM, which is the Les Mills cycling program. And I got hired straight away, and I had 2 classes, and I had my gym membership, and everything was fantastic. And I was living the life, working the full-time job and teaching on the side. I had my mad money that I could spend whatever I wanted, you know, the few dollars on the side. And as time went on, I got certified in more and more programs, and I went to advanced training modules, and I went to numerous modules of just learning to be better, different training modules on coaching and technique and so on and so forth. And years later, here I am.
Wow. I would have done the same thing in that situation. You know, just taking some time and then going to do something that you had more prep time for, and something that would have been more straightforward to teach, which is what it sounded like you did. So,
Yeah.
so you have 9 certifications for group exercise. So obviously, similar to a personal training certification, I'm sure there is things that you need to do to fulfill and follow up with maintaining your certification. Can you speak a little bit on what it takes to do that?
Yeah. So we at Hampshire Hills encourage our instructors to have an AFA certification for primary group exercise. That's something that they have a year within their date of hire to achieve if they do Les Mills. If they do a program outside of Les Mills, then they have to have it straight away. And the reason being is that Les Mills does such an incredible job of making sure that their instructors are ready to go and have the knowledge once they're actually certified. So we have to have the AFA certification, and that is something that we need to renew every 2 years. And we have continuing education units that we need to submit every 2 years to maintain that certification.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, similar. That's pretty similar to the personal training.
Yeah.
Do teaching classes count as continuing education?
No, sadly, they do not. You need to actually go to a training.
Okay. So that's similar to what I did virtually, right? Which is where you learn the new release for a track. So talk a little bit about the releases, because I know that each class, right, depending on what it is, they'll have a release, and each one is different from the last.
Yeah, so each program on a quarterly basis will have what they call a new release. It's all new music. So Les Mills is a pre-choreographed programs where they do all of the music and the choreography for each individual program. So every quarter they come out with new music and new choreography, and they call it a release. And then as a gym, we're required to teach that release for 2 weeks before we can move on to another release. And part of that with the releases, they also give us education. And per Les Mills, in order to remain certified, you need to be on what they call auto ship, which means you automatically get the new releases. And with those new releases, you receive the education. And that's the education that they require that you watch in order to maintain the certification. So it's their CEUs, if you will. So per Les Mills, you don't have to have an outside Group X certification. You just have to maintain that auto ship. If you come off of that auto ship, then you're not allowed to teach and or sub that particular program.
Okay, I see. So Les Mills is the main higher power, I guess, when it comes to
Yes.
group exercise, it seems.
We are at Hampshire Hills a Les Mills club. So we are the gold standard, if you will, that we're able to present all of their programs, but for their Born to Move, which is a program designed towards children. That's a separate licensing. But other than that, we're able to teach all of their programs, and we have somebody in our club that's able to teach every single one of the programs.
Oh.
So the freestyle classes, I'm hesitant because then the freestyle classes become about the instructor and not the program, which is the beauty about Les Mills, is you can go anywhere in the world and attend a body pump class and know exactly what you're going to get. You can attend a body attack class and know exactly what you're going to get. And when it comes to group exercise, it's that familiarity that makes the big difference. Is they know what they're walking into, they know what to expect, they feel comfortable, and then they feel successful.
Absolutely. So it's almost like it's familiar. I like that word, familiarity. Like it's friendly, almost. It's recognizable.
Yes.
If someone wanted to go about teaching a freestyle class, it would be, you mentioned that it's more about the instructor. So not only does it, from a teaching perspective, not only does it take the perspective off your class members, but it also puts more of a stress or a strain on you because you have to prepare the exercises, you have to prepare the music and organize everything your own, right?
Yes. So the issue arises when you need a sub. So they know when they're walking in that it's not Abby teaching the class. Abby normally teaches the class, and today we have Kate. Kate's not going to deliver the same class that Abby does, regardless if it's better or worse, but because she's not Abby, right? She's not going to give the same thing that they're expecting. Where with Les Mills, you are going to deliver the same thing that the members are expecting. And that's what brings the members back time after time, is because they know what's going to happen.
So that's good. So I'm sure it's been programmed into how they designed their classes, like that factor, like that they know that members will keep coming back. They'll keep taking Les Mills courses.
Yes.
How do you feel Les Mills has, since primarily your certifications are from them and that's primarily what you teach and focus on, do you feel like since you started teaching, you've kind of almost become a better person, or has that improved your self-growth process in a way?
Absolutely. So I mentioned that I've done multiple advanced instructor modules, and one of the things that they have you do in those modules is learn how to interact with people. For example, if you're sitting and having a conversation with someone, you need to look at them with your eyes and maintain that eye contact and actually listen to what they're saying instead of looking at your phone or looking around the room. It's all about being present in what's happening here and now. And that's the same thing when you're in a group X class, is you need to be present here and now and paying attention to the people that are in front of you. And that in itself, that one particular lesson is that they had us sit down with one other person, and you had 2 minutes to talk to that other person, and you had to just stare at them literally in the eyes for the entire 2 minutes. And you have no idea how awkward that is until you actually do it. But it made the point of, how many times do you look away or do something else just because it's uncomfortable to look in the eye? But when you look away, you take your attention away. You're not paying attention. When somebody's speaking and you're listening to them, you need to give them 100% of yourself and listen to what they're saying. So Les Mills taught me how to do that. Nobody else did. They taught me how to be present in the here and now and pay attention to what's happening all around you.
What are some of the negative repercussions of not being in the here and now when you're teaching a class?
You don't, well, the first one is you don't get to enjoy it. right? Like the
Yeah.
part of teaching group exercise is enjoyment, and that's actually one of their models, is to show enjoyment in your class. So if you're not present in the here and now, you don't get to enjoy it. The other part of it is you miss out on the connection with the members. And when members come to a group fitness class, they're coming mainly for that connection. They want connection with the instructor, and they want connection with the other people that are in the class. So it's not just about the instructor being like, oh, look at me, I'm fabulous. It's also about the member that's standing to the right or the member that's standing to the left, and then getting all of the members to engage within themselves. Like, I tell my instructors that, you know, you're there when you pause the music to maybe change the orientation of your step or to rearrange the weights on your bar. You know you're there when you have to be like, hey guys, I'm starting the music for the next track, because they're talking too much, right? That's the point of group fitness. That's the point of group exercise. You know you're there when you have to do that.
Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. You know that you are in that boat with them. You know you've made that connection when you're having to say things that will actually move the class along. So
yes, and not just with you and them, but them themselves, everybody that's in the class, when they're interacting together.
talk a little bit about when it comes to all of those people in that room, because I'm sure, I don't know, what do you feel like is the most amount of people that you've taught to?
Oh geez, I've
The
taught
highest
to
number.
a room of 40 participants, which is the max number in our studio number one.
Wow.
I had to fill in I was subbing for an instructor who at the time was our top instructor, and that particular class was our top performing class, and I had to sub it. And I'll be honest, I may or may not have vomited in the bathroom before class. I was very, very nervous, shaking nervous. And you have to go in and put the microphone on and do what it takes to make that class happen. And it was one of my best classes, is I just went in and just did it. Like, you just don't think, you just do.
Yeah, exactly. I think with a lot of things you have to do that. I mean, I've had guests on the show that kind of give me um that same phrase. You can't, do what it takes to make it happen. Don't think, just do. Um,
Yes.
which is another reason it makes you such a good guest for this show. But that seems like an extreme. The 40 students max. Maybe this applies to that, but in general, with so many people around you, what are some things that help you, other than just going in and doing it? What helps you connect with each member on that larger scale? Because I am used to the one-on-one connection mainly, where I just have one person in front of me. One person is a lot easier to handle, teaching exercises, taking a look at form and technique while they're performing it. What do you keep in mind when you're teaching to a large number of people? Yeah.
It's keeping them engaged. You don't want to see them look at the clock. If they look at the clock, that is a bad sign. You don't want them to look in the clock. You need to keep their eyes up front. You need to keep them engaged. And that doesn't necessarily mean talking all the time. So I like to think that you need to team teach with the music. And that's part of the beauty of Les Mills, is that they do that for you. They pull fantastic music that allows you to take, say, a 15-second break or a 16 count break, to just sit back and just let the music come through. You set the members up in what they're doing, and then you let the music drive them, and you make the eye contact, and that's what brings everyone together, because everybody feels the energy of the music. And when they all look forward and they're all getting it, it's just something magical that happens.
That's good. That's another thing that they've probably put into their programming too. Yeah, it's great the kind of songs that they pick. Some of them you hear them over and over again and they start to get a little bit, you know, but that's good. They're certainly inspiring the first few times that you listen to them, and then uh,
Yes.
yeah, you can just speak on. Can you speak on, like, what are some of the things that make you feel as an instructor, like when you see all those people connecting and that moment that clicks, like what's your biggest takeaway?
Oh, it's just magical. It's
Magical. I like
absolutely,
that.
yeah. It really is just magical. Like, for example, in Body Step, the party step, which is their fun track where no rules apply. It doesn't matter what your arms are doing or what your legs are doing. If
Mm.
you're on beat or on move, it just doesn't matter. It's just about having some fun in that 5 minute period. And that's when I feel the most connection to the members in the room, because they don't have that expectation of being perfect. They just can let loose, and it's just fun. You make jokes with the lyrics and the music, and when you get to know the members that are in the room, like I have one member who really likes jazz hands, so I will be like, you know what, you want to do jazz hands, go ahead, choose jazz hands, even if it's not part of the choreography, because I know that she likes it. And when I say that to her and she lights up, all the people around her light up. It really is just magical when it all comes together.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. So would you say, what's your opinion on this? You know, members can go in, they can spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. Um, it's almost like personal training in a way where you don't necessarily have to think about what you exactly need to do. It's there for you. You have someone that's guiding you and leading you through it. Um, a very effective way to get your movement, get your exercise in, and they have different programs designed for specific goals. Um, would you say that group exercise is, you know, as the fitness industry moves forward, do you see it being continuing to be a huge part of the fitness industry
Absolutely.
in the future?
Yeah, because we are humans and we drive on that human to human connection, in that group connection. Absolutely. I see group acts. In the moment, we're in a very strange period where we have a lot of the virtual classes happening, and there's a lot lost in the virtual aspect of it. It's great that we're still able to maintain a certain amount of connection with our members that are at home, but it's not the same. It's just not the same as being in person and in class. So as time moves on and we're able to bring that back, I really do, especially after COVID, see it blossoming into so much more, because people are going to be so thirsty for that interaction with even people that would not have come prior to COVID. I think that they're going to come back, or they're going to come now just because of that interaction. They're going to want that interaction.
So obviously classes have been in session a lot more and people are coming. Other than limitations of people that are allowed in the room at one time, are there any other things that are making it so you can't offer as many classes as you want, or the big things that you can think about that make people still not want to come?
Yeah, so one of the restrictions from the state is that we're required to have 30 minutes in between each class. So we used to be able to structure classes in multiple studios to be back to back to back. So they could travel from studio 1 to studio 2 to studio 3 and do 2 or 3 classes back to back, or even stay in studio 1 for 2 or 3 classes and do them back to back. But now that we have that 30-minute period in between each class, it limits us to how many classes we can run in a certain time frame. So we offer more express classes than we did at one point. And in some instances, so say like on a Saturday morning, we have a body step class that runs from 8:45 to 9:30. It's a 45-minute format. The full format 55 minutes. So you're really only missing 10 minutes, but it's that 10 minutes, that experience of that 10 minutes that really makes it feel like you're shortened, that you're missing out on something. And then people would stack their classes, like they would go to body step and then go to body pump, which is a fantastic combo. But now if they go to body step, they have to wait a half an hour before they can go to body pump, right? So they may not stay for pump, or they may not come for step. They may just come for pump. So they're not doing as many classes as they were at one point.
So that 30 minutes is, I assume, to
Clean and air out the room.
Yes, that's good. You want to get all the bad molecules out there. If there's any bad molecules looking to cause trouble, they're hanging out for sure on those surfaces.
Absolutely. And I don't disagree with the necessity of having that 30 minutes, but it does impact our ability to accommodate what our members want within keeping that 30 minutes.
Well, to wrap things up, I just want to kind of thank you so much for taking the time to stop by on my show, Sets and Reps, the podcast. And thanks for giving me an insight to some of the mindset of a coach who's been in this scenario, been teaching this for a while. Thank you for all the things that I've learned. And I think that this gives, especially some of the things that you mentioned about what group exercise can do to environment and to do to someone who's teaching it in general. I feel like that's really valuable for my listeners and for myself especially. So
good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Well, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will be seeing you around.
Sounds good. Thank you, Greg.
All right.
AKA Hollywood.
Yeah, no problem. Hollywood. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll see you. Bye.